welcome back. We are the fall, and we got a special little episode for everyone out there today. But before we get started, I just was thinking if you were Mark Smith and you had a time
Mm-hmm.
machine, you got a time machine, you can go back and pick the ultimate fall band. Who are you picking for what instrument?
Ultimate lineup.
Ultimate lineup.
Well, this is very fitting since today we're going to be talking about another kind of group that is a hodgepodge of fall members and also non-fall members. So I'm going to think about, let's start with the drum. Let's start with the rhythm section, the most important section, especially for the fall. It's going to be kind of easy for the bass duties, wouldn't you say?
I think so.
Okay, so we're going straight off Steve Hanley. That's an easy no-brainer. Steve Hanley on the bass. Drums. Now, do I want to go with the double drums or the single drums? Or do I get double drums? Or I get a
Yeah,
single?
no, this is your super group.
Okay. So you know what I'm gonna kind of go with here? I'm just gonna go with Carl Burns solo.
Okay.
Because we're gonna be talking about Carl Burns today. It is kind of he's in a producer role, but I just like Carl Burns' style in relation to fall sound. And I guess got to go Carl Burns. Okay, that leads us to guitar. Actually, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's go into the underrated synth
Sense.
keys.
I mean, it's a big part of the fall. Do you want understated or you want,
And because we've been getting into such great Marsha sounds, it's really hard for me to not pick Marsha, but you really just need the Una Baines touch. You need the Una Baines touch. I kind of want the Marsha variety of keyboards and soundscapes that she creates too. But I know Una can do this. But for the fall, I think almost the simpler the better. And that's why I'm going to be getting Una. And I'm not just going to be trying to get this original lineup. Well, kind of trying to get the original lineup, but okay, now guitar. Now, I like the double guitars, twin guitar player. So what we're going to do here is definitely, dang, it's going to be hard. I'm going Craig. I'm going Martin.
so you're going old school. Yeah,
Yeah.
what about your boy Tim Presley? You don't want him coming in?
Oh, man, I want Tim Presley. Yeah, I do think he did deliver some fall. Yeah, okay. If you got it because that is definitely who I want. I want Tim Presley. I'm just gonna have a rotating Martin and Craig coming in, tagging each other out.
Yeah, I mean, I think you'll get better out of both of them if they really if they have to play
Yeah,
against each other. They're vying for a spot on stage.
yeah. The thing is, if I'm only going for sound, I'm probably gonna take Craig because he's got this unique playing style. But if I'm thinking about the songwriting process, the
Yeah.
songwriting ability, I'm taking Martin. 7 days a week, I'm taking Martin. But so it depends on what the dynamic is. If they're just playing fall songs that already exist,
Yeah, is
that
this
kind of
a
yeah.
final tour? This
No,
is
I would actually
like
love to. Yeah, final. Yeah, like a reunion tour, like Oasis is
yeah,
going. Yeah, but
no.
Oasis is doing it the fucking wrong way because they're not even getting the original members for some reason. They're getting like Noel's current band with just the brothers, which is so stupid. But okay, let's stay focused though because we're not done. Who are we gonna get on lead vocals? This is the question.
I thought you just
Is
were taking over his body. You were inhabiting them.
Oh, I get to be the front. Oh man.
Yeah,
I would not do it justice. It would be too hard. That's a tall order. That's a tall draft. Yeah, so that's a good lineup. I think I like that lineup a lot.
you have any surprise like guests, either
Oh yeah,
vocalist,
yeah, for
triangle
sure.
player?
For
You want
sure.
to pull somebody out of the woodwork?
Yeah, for sure. I got a backing vocalist that I would like to have on every track, and that would be one, Mr. Gavin Friday. Live, check. Studio, double check. We're getting Gavin Friday on every track from here on out in this new alternate reality realm of the fall. Yeah, I'm feeling good about that. I'm
Oh,
actually
yeah.
thinking. I'm actually thinking though they need a saxophone player. The fall sound with the saxophone is actually a great dynamic. So who are we getting on that saxophone?
I just had a thought that you could go with, I think you should go with Simon Rogers, and he
Oh,
can just pick, he can
see,
just
that's a wild
sub,
card.
he could just
Oh.
sub in anywhere. You could it's hand him an instrument and he'll play it for you.
So you get to pick one wild card musician. Ooh, yeah,
There's
Simon
gonna be a,
Rogers was
there's gonna
good.
be a sick day. He can go anywhere. He's got saxophone, he's got bass, keyboards. I mean, whatever. He can produce for you, whatever you want.
It's kind of like we're almost getting to that. It's that part of the fall, the era of the fall, where after they fired Martin, or after whatever, Mark let go of Martin and Marcia, they went on tour in Japan, I think, and they just had their roadie play the keyboards. And the roadie is just like a metal dude. And he did a good job, but he was also like, this isn't like what I signed up for. He's like, I don't really want to do, I don't really want to be in the fall playing keyboards.
Was
He's
he
like a metal guy.
was he their roadie? Like they
Yeah, he
brought
was
him,
their
or
roadie. Yeah,
yeah,
he
it's
was
not
their
like
roadie.
it wasn't just
Yeah.
some Japanese guy they found.
Mm. And that's also why it's kind of bogus because that Mark like premeditated. He was like, I'm gonna fire both of these musicians from the band, and I definitely have a plan as far as who's gonna be on the on the stage in the next time. Also, we'll get into this into in 1991, but Mark also tried to get his new girlfriend at the time, or relatively new, Saffron, I forget her last name, but Saffron, to play the keys after Marshall left. And he's like, oh, you're going to be the keyboard player. And she had like no musical ability. So she tried to play even like the simplest Hit the North riff.
Mhm.
And she couldn't do it at all. And so he's like, oh God, this is not gonna work. But doesn't that say so much about Mark? Because almost every one of his romantic partners, for the most part, somehow ended up in the fall, right? For the most part. The odds were they were going to be in the fall if they were his partner or be the manager or something. So,
Yeah, I imagine
yeah.
they have to almost as a way to stay connected to
Hmm.
him, because I feel like
He'll be gone. Yeah, he'll
he'll
be
be
gone.
gone, or that's what he's
Yeah.
doing, that's what he's thinking about. If
Yeah.
he's not, he's in the pub, like
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. I think that's true. I was going to say for your lineup, I think you were going to pick the violin guy.
From the
From
Kenny Brady.
Yeah, Kenny Brady from Shift Work and also Extricate. I know you like that sound, and I like that sound too, but that's like,
I like the sound, but his vocals would freak me out
oh,
in shift work. I was like,
yeah,
I'm just so not used to hearing it. Every time he comes on, I'm like, what? Who is that? Why are they making that strange noise?
yeah, that is wild vocals. Well, let's get into today's record, and it's a special record. We talked about Carl Burns, and this is an album produced by one Mr. Carl Burns. This album, we should also note that he's credited as Carl Burns, but it's Carl with a traditional C Carl. And this band is the Teardrops. And we've got listened to a couple of those singles. It was fun. But Steve, who is in this LP, which is known as the final vinyl from 1980?
80.
What is the lineup for the Teardrops for their LP version of the band?
We got the infamous Helen
Bach.
Bach, Helen Barbrook, Steve Garvey, Tony Frio, and Trev Wayne.
Yes. And I got a question for you about Bach because I have a theory. Because we know Carl Burns uses the Bach pseudonym, right? for a couple projects, and that was a good single we listened to. If you didn't listen to that one, it's on Patreon for our Patreon heads. We did a little Bok Bok single, which was actually surprisingly really catchy and really awesome. But my theory is that, do you have any ideas about what Bok Bok could stand for? Because my theory is, if you look at those, I don't know what Carl Burns' middle name is, but if it starts with an O, I kind of think it might be his initials backwards
Ah,
twice.
that could
You
be.
know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Carl Osiris Burns. I'm
I
going to ask our friend Dan from Annotated Fall if he has any knowledge or information as far as the Bok Bok pseudonym. But we might be onto something there. So we got this album. We got 9 tracks. Steve, what did you feel when you first listened to the final vinyl by the Teardrops?
after my first listen, I felt like it was A, just kind of some songs from the singles, and B, noisy art rock trash.
Yeah.
It did warm up after a couple listens, but it's a stretch to put this out as a full LP.
See, I think I had the opposite reaction, which was the first time I listened to it, I was like, this is cool. And then after I listened to it a couple times, I was like, this is almost like a demos collection by a bunch of dudes that are probably just getting stoned to the bejesus in the studio that they have access to and trying to make songs that entertain themselves and are somewhat just like inside joke funny and also making weird sounds. Like, I think this is just almost an experiment.
Absolutely. I mean, it just seems like it's for fun, right? Like
Right.
a fun. They
Yeah.
so this is put out by Illuminating Records or Illuminated Records.
Yep.
So
Started by one Mr. Keith Bagley, who we're not familiar with, but apparently was well regarded in the scene in 1980. And the label ran from 1980 to 1987. It put out a bunch of records, compilation. A band that has a bunch of releases on this is, well, it released a Throbbing Gristle album, but there's a bunch of releases by a band called Sex Gang Children, which I wasn't familiar with until I listened to it. And the name doesn't really do it justice because it's actually the couple of tracks I found and was listening to. It's got something going there. Then I want to listen to more of that. But yeah, there's a bunch of, it says new wave, post punk, and industrial artists right there on the label, but it sounds cool. And
yeah,
well,
it's
yeah.
got a London address, but you got to imagine it wasn't based out of London. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
It seems weird that all these guys went down to London to record this.
Also, some places it says Illuminated Records, and then some places it says copyright Illuminating Records. But actually, I have the record right here in front of me, physical copy. And I can tell you that, oh, actually, it is accurate because it is copyrighted to Illuminated Records, but the publishing is to Illuminating Music. So there you go. We'll get into the album art, which is very stark black and white. But if you look at the Illuminated logo for the record label, it is the exact same logo, which I have questions about. So, Steve, we've kind of got the overview. We kind of know that it's a fun listen. So let's get right into it.
Everything's okay.
What's your favorite part about that lead off track? Everything's okay.
It sounds suspiciously like the song Teardrops and Heartaches from their single.
Yeah, it
Uh,
sure does. It sure does.
I mean, it just kind of sounds like what you were talking about. It sounds like they're smoking a bong, taking some coffee, and having some laughs right at the beginning of it.
Yeah.
And then it just rolls into, solid. One of the better songs on out of the three or four you get that are actual songs.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that one is good. The the vocal delivery is kind of timid. I don't know if that's like kind of like everything about this seems like they only did like one or two takes of everything, which I like. I like that handmade feeling that I get with this because you almost feel like you are in the studio with them and they're just hanging out and then they're like, oh, play that riff. And then they're like, let's get that down on tape. But my favorite part about this song and actually this album is Tony Friel's bass playing, the bass playing, the he's playing a lot of notes in there, and I wish it was up in the mix. And also, we're listening to a vinyl copy, so it's kind of even more difficult when we get towards the middle of it to hear that bass. But it's Tony. We don't get a lot of Tony Friel, so I appreciate it when we get to hear it. It sounds great. The Carl Burns production, which we're gonna experience more and more throughout this album, it's it's he captures everything and the guitars sound cool. They sound great. And as a producer, the first track, it gives me a little bit of optimism, even though those lyrics are very much, there's not a lot going on. I think he says like sloppy boys and sloppy girls, but there's like, it's like a playfulness to it where
Yeah, I was gonna
we're
say
not expecting Mark E. Smith.
no, and I don't think any of them were
Mm.
putting all that much into these as far as musical. I mean, I feel like they just wanted to jam, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And they do on a couple of the other tracks where they're having fun.
Yeah, they do. They do. Yeah, there's not a seriousness. There's not a self. Um, they're not overthinking it, which is cool. Yeah, that's everything's okay. Now let's go into the second track. No one is innocent. Yeah.
What do you think about this little jam session?
Yeah, this one might be my favorite because the guitar with the chorus effect, it has a really it has a really great sound that fits well with the Carl Burns drums. If he is playing drums, I just assume he is. And the Tony Friel bass. I almost wish that there is another track that has kind of that chorus phased effect on the guitars, and it's a good track too. But this one, no words, no lyrics. This is what this album could have the vibe of. Know what it also reminds me of? This could also be kind of a Nico. I would like to hear Nico
Oh,
singing on this track.
yeah, I mean, it's got a good 80s sound. I mean, it's almost like
Mm-hmm.
it's got like a movie, like a action movie kind of vibe to it, like
Yeah.
a video game or something. Like
And a little smokiness too, doesn't it?
it's
Like a
it's
little
deeper
smoky.
than that husky feeling.
That
Like
one's great.
a really slow like chase scene where it's just almost like a comical chase scene where they're just
They're
slowly
walking.
yeah, exactly, after each other and then like
They're walking after each other. Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, that's cool.
through
The
a crowd, yeah,
soundtrack by the
through like
Teardrops.
through a crowded mall, or like they can't go too fast. They just slowly.
Let's get that music video made, as a little homage to the Teardrops.
Maybe get what's his name? Get Mr. Bean involved somehow.
Current day Mr. Bean, or you want like prime time Mr. Bean?
It doesn't matter. I
If the
want,
price is right.
yeah, get him, and then what's the other guy? I want to be chasing him.
Yeah, Mr. Bean needs to be chased. He's not the
No,
chaser.
yeah,
He's kind of
no,
like like a goofy walking, like bumping into stuff as he's getting away.
exactly. Like, he doesn't even know he's getting chased. That's the best part.
Oh yeah, exactly.
I want, and you know who I want chasing him? I want. We're gonna have to go old school because I want Leslie Nielsen chasing him.
Oh, you're going to a straight slapstick
Slapstick chase scene, yeah.
slapstick.
He doesn't have to be that slapstick. I want him in
Uh,
more serious,
okay, yeah.
serious cop mode. But
Okay, that would elevate it. I
I
actually
wanted
like
like
that. Yeah.
more naked gun cop. Like they're both.
Elevated. Yeah. Naked, yeah, because Mr. Bean is one below Naked Gun
I
in
think
this
so.
because in the seriousness. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay, I'm all for that. I'm all for that. If we get a couple more Patreons, we'll put the funding towards the production of that. That's not a problem. Okay, let's get into yeah, I like this one. I think there's not much more to say about this one besides
No.
I wish there was more of it on this album. So let's move right along into something way different.
Hey, Count de Buck Buck.
Well, all right.
A little sound effects.
Well,
You
some words. I'm wondering whose voice that always is. That really deep one.
when you
My,
put in sound effects that are just like one-off lines, it's not going to make your album artistically, like we're saying earlier, it's not elevating it artistically, just being all right, like just like one-off, kind of everyone else in the studio is laughing, but then the listener's like, okay.
yeah, yeah, exactly. You're like, this is not. Yeah, you almost need it to be a live album at that point. Like,
Yeah.
and the
A
whistle,
live album, yeah.
the whistle, live recorded, whatever you want it to
Yeah.
be. But like, yeah, and the whistle is my very least favorite accessory instrument that you can choose.
With you. It's like the gym teacher's whistle. It's not even like the police whistle. It's like the referee whistle.
Yeah,
That's
like
the
it's like
but it's plastic.
a
Oh
child's.
God.
It's like a child's whistle,
Oh man.
exactly.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not the
it's not like
best.
a tin whistle or something. Like,
There's always, oh man. And this track really has like everything that you're just like, this is a
yeah,
short album already, but I kind of want it to be shorter.
yeah.
When I listen to a song like
The
this.
noise art rock trash that I was playing this with my wife as we were driving home somewhere, and
From a
I did
romantic dinner.
from a romantic getaway, and I decided to put this on and didn't really introduce it at all. And she was just like, what do we got going on here?"
Yeah, what
It's
is this?
almost embarrassing at that point. I was like,
It's
"This is
embarrassing for you.
it's for work. It's for work."
It's for research. It's for research and oh man. No, this one is also whoever's doing the vocals on this is
Yeah,
doing this growling vocals. And there's a comedian which a lot of our UK heads will know, fall heads will be familiar with, called Adam Buxton. And Adam Buxton had a show called Adam and Joe Show, and they were actually one of the first podcasts. And he still has a podcast. It's really good. He does good interviews with like really good guests. He does fake, kind of just like funny little musical bits that are interludes in his podcast. And it's almost basically this exact thing. This exact
Yeah.
track is what he makes.
They're gonna waste him. Better look out.
He makes it. He has this low, like like a character voice that has this low voice that's almost the exact inflection of this, and then just weird electronic beats and stuff like that.
Should see if
I,
he knows about this album.
we should see if he knows about this album. And I know he's a fall head because he interviewed with Joe Markey Smith. He went and interviewed him about his favorite records. So, and that's highly recommended watching. I'm sure a lot of our fall heads have watched that, but go watch it again because it's fucking funny. He's like torturing them, basically. He's like Marky Smith is torturing two guys in this random apartment. When I listened to this song the first time and right now,
It's also long. It's also long.
no, it's way too long for what it is. I like the synthesizer.
Yeah, I like it. And even
The bass.
the backing vocals are probably Helen Barbrook, I would guess. But
Yeah.
she sounds good in the back.
She does sound good, and she sounds good when she sings on this album too, coming up.
Yeah, she does.
But this is when I heard this track, I said, "Oh, I know what this is now," pretty much, which is these guys trying to make something weird, but it's almost like they don't go weird enough, right? They just like are finding stuff that they can use, like the whistle and I want it to be more weird. And when they go into the noise rock territory or noise experimentation in the back end of this album, I just want it to be the swell maps instead because the swell maps are making actual like art music. And this is like, oh, this will be funny if we go really kind of weird with it and do something weird. And it just doesn't really do it musically. It's not like a musical thing.
Yeah, no, it's not. There's no. That's just why it's trash. There's no like depth to it. There's no purpose. There's no. Not that everything has to have a purpose, but
Right.
there's just it's very. Yes, it feels like this just kind of fell into their lap, and they're like, "Sure, we can make an album. We'll be down there."
Yeah, it's a very thin idea, and like it just comes across as a very thin idea that maybe shouldn't have been. It's a good demo, it's a good demo. If I made it, I would be listening to it myself in my, own space and blasting it, but it's not something I would really be keen to
It wouldn't be
share.
calling the final vinyl your final and only LP.
The only that it is a good title. Yeah, do you like the title?
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
If it's a one-off, it's a really great title, and it was well executed. If it's my final vinyl, I'm definitely going to be very critical and cutthroat about, even if it is just for fun, I'm going to be a little bit more curated as far as what goes on there. Just throwing stuff onto it is, I don't know. But
Yeah, I
back
mean,
then, it was the only way to
least-
share things,
at least it wasn't. At least it wasn't. There's no covers on it. We can always just say that.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Oh, I like that. That's a positive way to look at it. It's all original music. Yeah, I like that. See, there's a way to come back to the positive. We like to do that here. Cool. And that is the penultimate track on the side A. And what is our last track, Steve, on side A?
Teenage Vice.
About the human race. Bow out with disgrace. With the purple day-glow haze. Step into a new phase. Better go back to school. Learn some new damn rules. Move backwards when you walk.
You ready to learn some new damn rules? You ready to go back to school and learn some new damn rules?
Yeah,
When that line came across, I said, don't say it. When you said, ready to go back to school, I said, don't say anything about rules. I was like, in my mind, I was like, please don't say any lyric that has to do with rules. Oh, no, you said, time to learn some new damn rules. At least it's a little bit unique, but I just said, oh no, I'm not gonna be liking what's gonna come after this. The guitar is cool. The guitar work I really like on this
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Yeah. It's an interesting riff. Ding, 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 ding. Yeah, it's
Yeah, even the effects on the vocals are pretty good.
yes. Even this delivery of the vocals on this track is way better than the first track, which seems timid. This one seems like almost morose and like depressed, and it works for the song. Musically, I like this song.
It almost could be, it
It's
almost
very
needs to be bigger. Like, I don't know,
yeah.
like it's more expansive somehow. Like it feels like it needs to explode more in your ears.
I like the noisiness that it gets noisy in the middle with the feedback and the distortion as a thing instead of like having an interlude because it's a really short track and this is a short album, but I really maybe would hope in some kind of looking back and maybe making some changes, maybe cut down that Hey Count de Bach Bach track, instrumental track, and you know, cut it back by half and make Teenage Vice a little bit longer.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's, yeah, Hey Count to Bach Bach is just, I mean, it's, you could go out on that one if you want to
Yeah,
fill up the rest of the vinyl with
I
that.
wouldn't. I wouldn't, but I would highly not recommend going out on that. You're not going to make people pick up the album again very soon. The first side of this album, I think, what is 18 minutes. I only know that
No,
from getting
13.
13 minutes, which
Yeah, I was gonna
which
say,
is less than half a side
what
of a
I just
12
played
inch.
was, yeah, 13,
13 minutes.
46 or something, and the other side is only 15.
Wow. We okay. Yeah. Okay. This almost could have been like a little nice EP.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. It feels like it is. I mean, they took it from
Some
their other
critical
EPs
editing.
and
It kind
like,
of is, you're right. They just tried to make it a little bit longer, but well, I'd say it's batting about for me about 50% on the first side. Let's get into the album artwork as we're flipping it over. What do we got on the cover? Actually, I'll tell you because I got it right here in my hands. I'll tell you this cover, it just states the teardrops. It's got kind of almost like I'm gonna say like a Miami Vice style
yeah, I
and
kind of
then
like that. That's probably the
yeah,
only
script and then the
cursive,
teardrops and then a black and white geometric image of a circle intersected with a line through it, contrasting black and white color pattern on a big square. And it gets the job done. I gotta say, it's not bad. It's not particularly interesting because there's not a lot going on, but I don't mind this at all. Kind of fits the music. What do you think? Does the cover fit this music? It's kind
Yeah,
of lo-fi rough music, and this is very stark.
yeah. I mean, I wouldn't. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think the simplicity and honestly, I mean, as it being the record label's logo as well, I'm not sure how much.
I know it's
Maybe
yeah.
they didn't have anything, and
Maybe they didn't, yeah.
they were just like, all right, I guess we'll just put our label on and write the teardrops.
Yeah, it is the Illuminated Records logo, which is taking up more of the cover than anything else. Which I guess it should because honestly, it's Illuminated Records money that they're throwing down the drain, kind of. But let's flip it over to the back because there is an image on the back. What do you make out this image to be, Steve?
I'm not holding it in my hands, but
Yeah, that's why I'm challenging you.
it looks like a table and a
Yes.
chair and maybe like a jacket and like a white like Havana hat.
Yes, that is what I'm seeing too.
Some curtains maybe in the back.
Yes.
I don't know what that is.
Yep.
A window.
Yep, it's like a dining room table, a chair, And it almost looks like because they've made it's almost like the negative of a photograph. It's like the negative image because it's very just the black and white. I want to look at this way more than the cover. So I'm going to say it's going to get another We Are the Fall recommendation. Flip it, swap them,
Yeah, even
put that on the front.
I don't know. That's not.
Yeah. Come on. I'm looking at that way longer than the front.
Yeah, but not to just to be like, what
A
the fuck?
fedora on a
This is-
leather jacket.
I don't even think it's leather. It's like a rain jacket. It's
Oh,
like
man.
a trench coat of some kind. You can see the plaid. It's a barber jacket.
Okay, but we can at least agree there's no people or human figures on this album at all, which is actually the most fitting thing that could possibly be done because the teardrops are a kind of a mysterious entity as a
Yeah.
group. So it's cool that they are not pictured, they're not photographed on here. You can see their photos on the EP and the singles that we covered. But yeah, then you get the credits and there's not much more to it. So let's move forward.
Yeah. And Dunk is thanked and many more.
But yeah, Dunk has a thank you and many more.
I don't think it's a thank you. It says this is who they are, Dunk and many more. So yeah,
Oh, it's not a thank you.
I think
That's
this is.
Dunk just performed. Okay.
What do you think Trevor Wayne is? I don't think that's an actual person. I mean, I think it's a person, but I'm curious who it is. It seems
wanna
like a
kn-
pseudonym.
It does, but it also kind of sounds real because it's Trev, you know? I feel like they would have made up a more unique sounding name. And I wish it said like they're playing Tony Friel's playing bass. Like we're just guessing what they're playing, but you know, we're well read in the fall up to this point. So we're making educated guesses. All right, as we're flipping over to side B, if you like what you're hearing, jump on over to We Are the Fall Patreon, join us, continue listening with us. We're going to be listening to the full tracks on the B side. So if you like that, come on over and join us. And until next time, We Are the Fall.
We are the best.